Zone Dragon X, who the favorites were.
KT roster.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2019. You've been waiting throughout an entire split for this day to happen. Jin Air GreenWings taking on Griffin. Will balance be restored? Will the universe be thrown into perpetual calamity? Only time will tell, and I don't know whether any of us are prepared for the outcome of this auspicious matchup.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are probably wondering, is KT going to escape relegation? Well, that doesn't matter.
That's irrelevant.
That is completely irrelevant.
We may not even make it to that series.
Who knows? I mean, the lights might go out.
Everything might go out. The whole planet as we know it may go out. And just to add to the hype of this matchup, we have to look back. We have to look back to Kingzone's 2-0 takedown of Griffin.
Yeah.
And we know exactly why that happened.
It might have been a foreshadowing.
It is purely because they are so scared of the potential mirroring. Right. If we get an exact mirror as we cross the event horizon when it comes to these standings, as you can see, it could have been 15-2 instead of that 14-3 that we see on our screen in favor of Griffin, and Jin Air GreenWings could potentially even it up.
Do you see anyone else with 30 points on these standings?
Nope.
Yeah.
Who's the winner?
No,
if you go out the
negative,
if you go out the other side, I mean, if they were playing golf, Tiger Woods would be incredibly jealous of that particular scoreline. All jokes aside, guys, Jin Air GreenWings just fighting for pride here up against Griffin, and Griffin need momentum moving into the final. Remember, they are locked into first place, and they are going to be waiting a very long time for their opponent to show themselves. Is it going to be Kingzone? Is it going to be SKT? I know everyone is looking forward to an SKT Griffin final, but after that loss to Kingzone Dragon X, what does it necessarily mean for what we're actually going to experience when we finally get there? It is still a few weeks away till we get to that grand final here for LCK Spring, the first time that Riot Games has hosted a grand final here for the LCK. Very exciting times. Jin Air GreenWings, 10th versus 1st, final stage experience of both teams to stay in LCK and to raise LCK trophy. But first, we need to understand what happens when these two collide for the second time in Spring 2019.
Have you ever seen a plane collide with a Griffin?
No.
Probably haven't.
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, you haven't.
Well, this is the thing, man. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how to fully understand
No
or
one's been there.
comprehend what this game is going to be, which is why I'm not talking about KT's fight to get out of relegation. Because honestly, we need to understand what happens here before we can understand whether KT can potentially take down Dom 1 Gaming.
Yeah. Taking a look at some of the team stats here. And look at the sheer finesse on Jin Air.
Oh.
10th in the league, 10th. 1.7 right there. And then I believe that is the damage per minute. They're 10th there too.
Yep.
10s all around.
It's just too many 10s. I don't know what it
How do you
means.
compete with that?
I don't know. I don't know what it means. I can't quite comprehend it just yet. But as you can see, Jin Air GreenWings did very well in the early game. Griffin also did very well in the early game in their matchups. SKT or Kingzone, it didn't matter. They still fell down at the very end, and it was gold leads of about 5,000 as we ticked over to that 30-minute mark. Root and Kellin actually playing pretty well here for Jin Air GreenWings, but my eyes are going to be on the top side when it comes to this particular matchup. You can see TaNa versus Khan was such a huge one. TaNa's quadra kill almost led us to believe that Jin Air GreenWings could take down the Titans.
Just weren't quite able to in the end. Root and Kellin, I think, really is the feature for me here tonight. They are such an aggressive bottom lane. And honestly, they're one of the few bottom lanes I feel personally in the LCK that really feels like a singular unit.
Yeah.
In the way that they move with one another, the way that their trades end up unfolding, and they do have actually quite impressive early game trades. And we'll see what they can do against Viper and Lehends as we take some looks at Griffin highlights here now.
The thing that I've really enjoyed about Griffin is the fact that Tarzan has been playing so much more aggressively in the early game. Yes, they did lose 0-2, but I think a lot of it had to do with the matchup on the top side of the map. As you can see, Sword versus Rascal was all about Rascal just waiting long enough to avoid even having to worry about a Jayce. Just because he's on, he can build a whole lot of tank stats, and then you can throw as many shock blasts as you want at him, but he'll just shrug at you and laugh it off. This was beautiful, though, being able to boop him back so that he couldn't even blast cone his way out.
Yep.
Despite that, just wasn't a Griffin that was able to actually get over the line.
Key matchup.
This is just weird. Look at Viper's stats in DPM and damage percent.
Yep.
He is 9th in both of those. And Root, he's 4th in damage percent. 33% is actually nothing to shrug at here. We know that Deft is number 1 with something like 35%, but that is very close to what Root is actually capable of holding up here for the Jin Air GreenWings. You mentioned that this bottom lane has been impressive. They're going to have to go as far as they possibly can in this particular matchup in order to get them over the line. We highlight this particular matchup, the AD carry matchup here, but I think that support is also very, very important because Lehends has shown himself as not exactly the strongest part throughout this entire split. Actually, even in games that they were winning, you know, he was missing skill shots and not quite being able to keep himself to the form that we come to expect from that of Griffin. But top side of the map is what I'm excited to see, and as you can see right now, it will be TaNa making his way out onto the Lowell Park stage. On the top side, they have been experimenting. Chongo's spent some time up there. It's been Linderung hanging out as well, but TaNa, he was the man that got a quadra kill against SKT on his Aurelia. We'll see whether that is going to require a ban here, because Griffin have shown that if there is a weakness, it's up towards the top side if you play through Sword.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm curious about is, will Griffin allow Root and Kellin to get a hold of their Lucian Braum?
Yeah.
Now, Jin Air is starting on blue side, so it's a little bit more difficult to secure, especially out the window with the first pick. Sign says Root fighting.
Yep. A lot of Root fans out there, actually.
And you know,
he's playing better and better.
It's really surprising to me that Griffin did not allow any of their subs to get any playtime.
Yeah.
Even coming into tonight's match, which many people might look at as being Griffin's easiest match of the entire season. And still, no substitutes will come out and be used.
It's only Kanavi and Cabby at the moment that are in that sub lineup, but these are two rookies as well. It's not like they've had any experience on a stage like this. Yes, there isn't anything riding on it, but you're not going to put them in the final, and therefore you just need to keep getting experience on the players that you have here. Just make sure that they're as prepared as possible. This is a matchup against Jin Air, but this is coming off a loss for Griffin. We're going to check out the head-to-head and the rosters here between these two squads. And like I said, TaNa will be up towards the top side of the map. Seas, Grace, Root, and Kellin have really established themselves here on Jin Air as the season has progressed. Not necessarily to any victories, apart from the one lone win against the Afrika Freaks, which honestly felt like a little bit of a blip in the radar. Both of these teams, in fact, falling to Afrika Freaks, which is just a weird thing to come to terms with. Afrika could theoretically be heading towards relegation alongside Jin Air GreenWings after the end of today.
You know, one of the things I'm looking forward to, Atlas, is are we going to get any weird picks, given that it is the last game?
I think that it's guaranteed
for both of these
that we
teams.
get some weird
Will
picks.
we see GRF?
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. I don't know. I don't know. Does Lehends finally play his Singed? Will he show us? And I mean, look, there is a lot of talk that Singed is coming back. Minion Dematerializer helping him out there a little bit.
Well, this would be the game.
Griffin will take the Jin Air plane to jump ship.
they're gonna fly first class.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, they're going there anyway, guys. They're locked in first place. They will be waiting in the grand final here for the LCK for spring 2019. Jin Air GreenWings, they're trying to fire themselves up to try and get out of relegation. It is battles of very different arcs on both sides of the rift here today. Jin Air on the blue side will ban the Galio first as we get into ban and then pick.
I like that. You're still on point with that.
Definitely on point.
Silas now being banned away after Galio was banned in the window by Jin Air.
Yep, haven't seen too much Silas, apart from being on the ban list, since he's been re-enabled. TaLia has been really launching herself back up to popularity here in the LCK, whether it be in the mid lane or in the jungle. But Kalista, still very popular, still not going to be played.
And with the TaLia ban, it is making me think that Jin Air want to get their hands on the Lissandra, as yet another Lissandra, or an anti-Lissandra champion is banned away. And Elise now banned away.
Well, that's interesting, given the fact that Tarzan has been performing so well. The Jayce does stay up, and TaNa is going to pick that one into Sword. This is notably the carry that Sword does default to. Yeah, exactly. And there were things to think about, right? Like, do you lock away something like the Lissandra? As Griffin say no, they're going to take the Akali. That could be for Sword on the top side of the map, and the Rek'Sai. We'll see whether it is ultimately going to be Infinity Edge as the only good choice for item number 2 on the Rek'Sai.
Garen now being hovered by Jin Air. Certainly not going to be locked in.
Should be locked in here, I think. Oh, wow, they must have misclicked and picked a good champion instead. The Lissandra is going to be locked away. Two very solid solo lanes already picked up here for Jin Air GreenWings, and I think something like a Braum could actually augment this quite nicely.
Yep.
Get a lot of team fight potential there with that champion, and give Kellin one of his favorite picks, and make Griffin have to think about what they're going to do about the potential Lucian that could come in. Unless Root just wants to lock that one away, but I think Braum has been a little bit more of a jack of all trades when it comes to blind picking without being able to pick him in a duo. They are going to go with it though, and that's the
These picks are all getting locked in really quickly here.
Are they hard randoming? No, they're definitely not, because these are actually decent picks.
Mid Ornn, or will it be... it's most likely going to be top Ornn, as you give Chovy the Akali here.
Yeah.
Against the Lissandra. Braum banned away by Griffin, no surprise there. Now Jin Air probably just tries to pinch away the ADC pool.
I find it really interesting, though, that you would just hard lock the Akali in blind into the mid lane when Lissandra is available. Because she's historically, even when Akali was busted strong, picked very comfortably into that Akali matchup in the mid lane, given the fact that she doesn't have very many targeted spells apart from that ultimate. Ashe going to be taken off the board here, though, by Jin Air GreenWings. They are able to try and get themselves the best Lucian matchup possible there on the bottom side, as Seas has been practicing a hell of a lot of Kindred recently. Actually saw him before the game, getting his mechanics in order, so that is going to be banned away here as well for Jin Air.
And will they just ban away potentially Ezreal? Instead, it's actually going to be Tahm Kench.
No Thomas this game.
I think Griffin want to maybe just pick support here and retain the ADC, but instead they just want to grab Ezreal.
They're sort of power picking the Ezreal here, wanting to counter that support pickup, or potentially throw the Ornn towards the bottom side of the map, flex the Akali top lane, and counter pick mid lane without Jin Air being able to create any jungle mid synergy that can respond to that potential mid pickup. Certainly are a lot of different things that you can do. I don't necessarily feel like Ornn and Ezreal is exactly my favorite duo there on the bottom side, but time will tell. The Thresh is going to be locked away here, so Wife Steal bottom lane online for Jin Air. Of course, that is part of the lore. As C's just takes the Karthus. Thank goodness. LS is here. Karthus is locked in. He's a happy boy. He's a happy boy.
Something was going to happen today.
Yeah?
Now, I've seen Karthus capable of doing many things across many different regions. He has managed to get quite a few people some wins where they shouldn't have probably been able to secure them. And now, Griffin, they're going to have to manage to take down Karthus, and a lot of their champions don't want to build magic resistance.
No.
So this will be a little bit of an interesting situation here for Griffin.
I feel like Ornn definitely does. Abyssal Mask does synergize so well with what Ornn has, but otherwise, I think you're exactly right. Like, who's going to be building a Hex Drinker? I guess now Ezreal fits into the build a little bit nicer just because of the denial of double tier.
Well, Akali will get the Zanyas later on. That is one of the ways that Akali can fight back against Karthus. The problem is that with the Jayce and Lucian present on the team, how many members on Griffin want to be building Mercury Treads as the magic resist? And one of the answers that you can do to Karthus is you can spec into the sorcery tree.
Yeah, get yourself
to get the pseudo Hex Drinker. Yep. That is definitely one of the things that you can try doing, but this is definitely a very good Karthus spot, and I'm very excited to be here for it.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to see what Tarzan can actually do to try and mitigate what can be very, very powerful, because both of these junglers farm extraordinarily quickly, but we know the skirmish advantage should be with Rek'Sai, especially for the first few levels. And as that first item does come in. I mean, it is hard. I mean, Defile does do random damage. If you hit a few cheeky lay wastes there, you might just take down Rek'Sai before she can get anything done, but I am excited to see how Tarzan is going to navigate it, because this is all over solo queue, right? Yes, it doesn't get played as much here in LCK, but in Challenger, as you definitely know, it's played a hell of a lot, and in the solo queue, it is definitely played a lot as well. So it's not like Tarzan is going to be any stranger to the Karthus play.
We'll have to see what they can do here in game number 1.
Yeah, we're getting straight into it, guys. Jin Air GreenWings versus Griffin. No one knows what to expect from this series apart from a game of League of Legends. Almost skipped the Griffin chant there, but it is going to come through. We heard the Jin Air faithful so extraordinarily loud. Really wanting Jin Air to come out fighting, get themselves a win here against Griffin would be absolutely huge for momentum moving into the promotion tournament. And will also set us up for a storyline that's going to be very difficult to navigate when we finally get to the final here of LCK. Because if Griffin lose to Genji, FLICKR, Jin Air, and Kingzone... Yeah,
that is very anticlimactic. Some tickets might get refunded.
I don't know whether they'll get refunded. It's just some analysts may find it difficult to figure out exactly what this means for the Griffin team, who was so dominant in the first round robin. We're going to check out the runes for everyone. Taking a quick gander here, not entirely sure what we should be focusing on.
This is really cool to look at.
Yeah. It's like we've got too much information. I'm almost too excited.
Yeah.
That is Unsealed Spellbook for Chovy. That, I think, is one of the more interesting options here. Think about it. Jin Air have probably the most ridiculous Baron with the fact that they can have 3 smites and a Karthus. No, sorry, they don't have the Karthus. 3 smites, though. And so if Jin Air ever decide to start up the Baron, Griffin just jump in there, all press their smite button at the same time and steal that one away. It's pretty exciting here as TaNa going to go very aggressive onto Sword. Sword knows how this matchup goes, and if Rascal had anything to say about it, this is a counter pick into the Jayce.
Yeah. And here in game number 1, things are starting off okay for Jin Air, as Karthus is going to be able to 3-buff Tarzan here.
Yeah.
Tarzan's going to find himself with a little bit of an awkward route in this game.
Yeah, it's just happily going to be farming up, though, and does have some CC as he gets into the lane, so having that red buff is not as important. We've seen this happen a few times. That's a great double play there as Viper down to 300 health already. Aftershock in for Lehends. Doesn't take too much damage, but Jin Air winning that trade handily on the bottom side of the map.
Tarzan coming in, realizing that his Raptor
well.
camp is not here. C is now pathing onto the left-hand side. Didn't actually eat his Krug camp, so we'll have a little bit of a stunted rubber band going on that.
But just wants to guarantee the 3-buff, I think. Tarzan's going to be going up towards his Krug camp, but it looks like it will be Scuttle Crab going down, so we're going to have parity when it comes to the Scuttles. However, 3-buff is going to mean that this Karthus is well and truly ahead. Gets back a whole chunk of mana here as well before going towards his blue buff. And couldn't have a better time, I don't think.
Manages to pick up the left side Scuttle Crab, so Seas is really far ahead of Tarzan right now.
Kellin, he can't miss a hook in this lane so far. And what does this mean when we talk about what Jin Air have to do on the top side of the map? Because you see a Jayce, and since his buffs here on 9.6, I think it's more relevant to really focus on the Jayce lane to get as many turret plates as possible and get him ahead as far as possible. You lost a bit of base damage, a base health, things like that. Yeah. So the need for Snowball is now even more apparent. We saw that actually come across in the King Zone series against Griffin. Will Karthus actually be able to add that gank support, though, to the top side for Jin?
Tarzan, I mean, Karthus is definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. They have a lot of kill lanes,
but speaking of, Root does get the dash. It's a decent double play. Aftershock is in, but it's not enough. First blood goes down, bottom side of the map, and it's picked up by Viper.
And that's a really big pickup for them. Ezreal getting ahead and getting accelerated can really go blow for blow in the later stages of the game. The poke is something that Jin Air are going to struggle to deal with in the later stages, and also the hard engage that the Ornn will offer. So it's a nice little pickup for them down there. It does relieve quite a bit of pressure, as Viper is finding himself with quite an advantage right now.
Yeah, you can see Root actually not deciding to go for his teleport to get back to lane. As we have a look at this one more time, just good positioning here from Tarzan, and a great engage from
the lane was coming in. If you look at the minions, Jin Air weren't actually going to lose any minions had they just been backed up, but being a little bit too overextended, Griffin were able to take advantage of the error.
Well, here, you got Lehends making a bit of a roam towards the top side. Tarzan nowhere in sight. But TaNa actually losing out on that trade against Sword, who does have...
TaNa even getting cancelled again.
Yeah, it's real bad. And as the item advantages just keep coming in here for the Ornn, it becomes easier and easier to deal with what TaNa has to offer.
Even has the biscuits to go with it. He's only down 9 CS right now in top lane.
And he's going to be able to get that teleport back onto the minion wave. Wall of Pain comes in here. Tremor Sense spots out where Seas is. Lands some lay waste, but he will take a heck of a lot of damage. That's going to be a decent Dark Passage to get the shield, as Lehends is going down extraordinarily low. The lay waste picks it up, and Karthus, he's on the board, and that's real scary for Griffin.
He also has the Dark Seal, so he just got a little bit of extra AP to boot in addition to the Dark Seal. He's gonna pick
the Dark
himself.
Harvest, man. He's picked up a bunch of different things here by grabbing this kill.
Very dark.
Oh yes, things are dark.
Dark day, as Karthus is almost level 6 now. Tarzan just hit level 5. And like I was mentioning earlier, the kill setup potential in all of these lanes are enormous for Karthus' Requiem. Chovy, no magic resistance. Has to be very careful against this Lissandra as Karthus approaches 6.
Yeah, pretty cute use of the Twilight Shroud in the mid lane. Chovy actually getting out of the way of a couple of Qs there from Grace, so that's why he's able to keep himself pretty okay here in this lane. Does have himself with Mr. Vampire, except that the some sustain as the hook was aiming for Lehends, but Mind Game's not going to pay off here for Kellin.
Top lane is all but stabilized almost at this point. Ornn is going to be sitting quite comfortable.
Yeah, he's got the wave in a brilliant position.
Yeah.
You can see the CS is what, like 12 in the lead, but as sitting right outside his front door, he's in no worries of a gank. Of course, he's probably pretty happy just to keep farming things out as his camps respawn, but he'll be spotted on this control ward on the bottom side of the map, and that is fantastic for getting information for this Ornn to keep him comfortable. See how much Jin Air have invested into trying to make sure that the Jayce gets ahead. 3 control wards there on the top side of the map. And that investment in gold and in movement of a lot of players and sacrifice of vision elsewhere on the map isn't necessarily paying off here, as Seas does at least steal away a blue buff.
He steals away the blue buff, and he's returning to rubber band camps inside of his own jungle. As you can see, Tarzan going to go for a little bit of a desperation play. He's still level 5.
Oh
Karthus is about to hit 7. So the onus is really on Griffin to make things happen right now. Is Karthus also doing the interesting thing yet again that we've seen earlier in the LCK? Sork Pen Boots rushed before the jungle item.
I actually think it's really good because you get the most out of Magic Resist very early into the game. So you get the most out of Magic Penetration very early into the game. So has decided to opt into that one. Did like it when I first saw it, in theory.
A little bit of a needless Mountain Drake attempt right here by Jin Air.
Maybe they just want to start a fight here. Just trying to do it in any way possible. Akali going to get the roam down pretty comfortably though from the mid lane. Does have inside track onto Grace.
These are the things that break my heart every time I watch Karthus, Alice.
Yeah.
As Seas seems to not be aware that his only goal is to keep power farming faster than the opponent and then pressing the R key when his teammates need it.
Yep.
And so he gave Tarzan a lot of time to catch up. Tarzan's camps are going to be able to respawn, and he's not doing anything. And this doesn't really play into Karthus' strength. This isn't why he's as strong of a jungler as he can be, as TaNa goes wide.
Yeah, Sword is going to be able to move that one back, and the Ignite is down. TaNa going to get Bellows Breath to death, and Sword does get the solo kill. This man on tanks is a different player.
It's not a solo kill that you want to be giving up either. And Sword wasn't even really in close enough range for the Requiem. And that's all because TaNa missed his Shock Blast.
And Sword just sat under his turret, making himself new items over and over again, and then the Jayce actually just can't fight him. Once he gets Ninja Tabi and the Glacial Shroud in this lane, it just becomes so much easier.
Everyone's missing everything, but from this frame, I mean, well, as soon as Ornn casts the ultimate, it's already known that TaNa will be dying. There's no way out.
I think that flash was unnecessary from Sword. I think the Ignite was going to be enough there.
Swapped. He just casted Ghost inside of his base.
So wanted to cycle it.
Wanted to get back to the lane. Gotta go fast.
Yeah, I guess so. Does need to now wait for that flash to come off cooldown, so I probably would have liked to hold on to the Ghost if I was in.
Grace is getting bullied in the lane here by an Akali.
Speaking of getting bullied, Tarzan looking for the knockup, does find an acceleration key. Will it be able to actually get enough movement speed? The answer is a big ol' no as Sword gets his second.
This is definitely one of the worst feelings in the world. When you are Karthus, you hit tab, see that you are up about 30 CS over the enemy jungler, but your laners just can't seem to figure out how to lane.
Yeah. Sometimes there's a lot of pressure on a player when you're in a matchup that you feel like you should just win, right?
Yeah.
Like the Jayce. Or it's not even necessarily that, right? It's that you have to win to be relevant in the later stages of the game. The onus is entirely on you to perform. TaNa is feeling that, and then some, especially now that everything has gone so wrong. Very hard to play this one out as Chovy. Wall of Pain is going to come down. Hook is going to miss him as he dives on over with the ultimate. Perfect execution. Pretty relevant here for the Griffin mid laner. Chovy, very, very nice.
Chovy has Ghost Cleanse. No, he is not running it down. Those are just actually two very good summoner spells right now, given the current situation.
It would have been Clarity if he was running it down. No?
Well, I mean, him and Rek'Sai need mana.
Yeah, exactly.
They never get it on their own.
Which is why the mid-jungle duo is what you need. Culling flies out here from Root, does a lot of damage to Viper. Viper very happy that he went for the Iceborne Gauntlet build to have that little bit of extra armor. A lot of pressure in this lane, but does have the same CS number as that of Root.
Not sure what Jin Air is actually doing.
They're taking a Mountain Drake. That's what it is.
to.
Spoiler.
All right.
Yeah. They're going to do it very, very quickly in full vision.
Yeah, they're gonna pick it up right now, but in doing so, they continue to stun Seize on this Karthus. And it's just really perplexing. You can see that Tarzan is the same level now. As Viper has to be really careful not to fall within that threshold.
Yeah, that's the problem. Anything. Like, you just don't have
2 level lead
extra health.
in top.
That's what happens when you get 2 kills against your lane opponent. Solid's happy just to breathe fire on TaNa underneath his turret over and over again. Almost towards his second turret plate up there as only 1 minute remains on those turret plates. We give you a bit of an update. It's 1 taken by Jin Air, and 2 have been taken so far by Griffin. Double teleports coming in. That's a great hook there from Kellin, who will have the Dark Passage to bring overseas. Viper has to flash to get out of the way, but the turret has done so much work. There it is. The first kill does go down onto the Thresh as Kellin just a little bit too far as now Seize finds himself in the middle of nowhere. They're waiting
they're not
to
going to kill him. Yeah.
They're just going to let the back
Seize,
come
can
through.
you run into the turret?
No. That's so sad. Don't do it. Don't press the button, Seize. Don't waste it. Oh no, that was so well played by Griffin.
You're going to need to keep going, Atlas. You're going to need to keep going.
Your boy's taking too much of a beating. Yeah, no, it is a little bit sad, but it was well played by Griffin.
Ran into the turret.
Yeah.
To get the execute so that he can enter passive, and then from there, you can locate the R key.
Yeah. Look, I mean, speaking of locating the R key, Grace is going to succeed. Gets the flash off, perfect execution. Gets Chovy the kill, and he just backflips his way out with style.
This is the... well, all right, we'll take another look at this. This actually all starts off great. Kellin with a super fantastic hook, setting everything up. Seize not reading where the Ezreal would be going, and then right here, he has to know they're not going to actually kill him to allow him to get into his passive. This is where he needs to
run into the tower.
He needed to just run into the turret, yeah. A lot sooner. And then from there, he could start pressing R. And it's almost comical in a way that he's just spamming taunt, not realizing that it would just be better to get the execute.
Yeah.
And you know, I believe this is twice now I've watched him play the Karthus, and I think this is actually one of the reasons that maybe Korea doesn't pick it up. They do not seem to really understand what the strengths of the champion are, or how to conduct his play within the team game. I mean, if I saw this enough.
That's just going to make sure that the minion wave dies, and Sword's going to be totally fine here under the outer turret bottom side.
Probably think the champion was bad too.
Yeah. Well, you can imagine that Sword is probably just the happiest guy in the universe right now, because Rascal showed him that in fact you don't have to play carries on the top side. You can just play Ornn. You can be the world's best cull in a champion.
The other thing, talking about the itemization, we can see here that Sword was even able to go Abyssal Mask just off the Ninja Tabby and the Glacial Shroud. He's winning inside of the matchup, and TaNa elected for Yumu's Ghostblade first item.
Which is going to do nothing against stacking armor. Trisha Barrage doesn't find Grace in time to take him down, also doesn't do that much damage here at this point. Still looking for the new amount of transformation and item. After that Manamune that Viper is looking to pick up and does complete it right there. Boots of Lucidity now to actually come in for the Ezreal, showing that the evolution of the Ezreal's item path has certainly changed since that of double tier.
Yep. Wanted to get access to more of the CDR to continue the machine gun ways.
Yeah. Gonna hit it a little bit earlier as well, especially if he goes for an early Caulfield Warhammer, just because you do want to be picking up the more of Malmortius against this Karthus. I believe Hexdrinker should come in as the next item here for Viper.
About a 5k gold lead right now in favor of Griffin. And they are the ones with superior scaling on their team composition. The Ornn items are going to start coming in soon as well.
Already have, in fact, as the first one is in there. The better Abyssal Mask is going to come through as Chovy goes into the Shroud, looking to try and get a kill here. Onto Seize potentially, but he's slowed down. Perfect execution, and then the culling. And that's the Requiem. Chovy's going to survive, though, throughout the queue. And he's even able to farm under the turret. Oh my goodness, this is what happens when you get a Hextech Gunblade and you get a Q off.
Yeah, and he has the magic resistance as well, and Karthus just doesn't have any Dark Harvest stacks.
Yeah.
He got that initial one early on. Griffin, they're going to get an Infernal Dragon. Yesterday, Atlas, Valdez, and I had to deal with quite a few Ocean and Cloud Drakes, but
it was certainly an overcast day yesterday.
yeah.
It was cloudy, there was a lot of water going on.
Right.
Not great. In fact, it hailed. It was,
Did it?
Yeah, it was hailing in Kangnan today. Just insane. It's supposed to be spring.
Huh.
Very weird one. As Shelly's going to flutter head into the outer turret here in the mid lane, as Griffin had picked that one up earlier. She's not going to be able to take that turret down, but it's very close to going. And 6,000 gold is very quickly approaching as the gold lead here for Griffin. Fastly. I'm getting confused. As the Karthus composition isn't doing what it's supposed to. My lessons with LS about what Karthus is supposed to do, this is not what's in them.
This is definitely not what's in them. This is, this Karthus is something. I'm gonna reserve my my words.
And you know what's also insane?
Yeah,
I mean,
with it.
we've already heard from Selfmade that there is one correct choice when it comes to second item on the Rek'Sai, and Tarzan has completely overlooked it.
Yeah, that's definitely not an Infinity Edge, so
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. What I think that he's doing is that he wants to go into the Black Cleaver so that he has an Ornn upgrade item as well, because I'm assuming that the first one will be given to Ezreal,
Yeah.
second one, Tarzan's Black Cleaver, and then perhaps the Zanya's Hourglass for Chovy.
And do you give Viper the Frozen Fist upgrade that recently came in? I assume you do. Doesn't have Blade of the Ruined King completed yet. That being said, the Blade of the Not-So-Ruined King is actually a very, very strong item as far as getting that upgrade. Just frustrating that you can't necessarily choose which one gets upgraded.
Interesting that Sword didn't elect for double Ornn items at level 14. He opted for the Frozen Heart instead of the Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And so now, yeah, he's going to go and build it for Ezreal. Fantastic. Absolutely
Throws it on over.
Magnificent.
Yep. And now we can actually call it a Frozen Fist, and we're correct!
I like that.
Thanks, Riot Games. Really helping us out.
6,000 gold lead here with an Infernal Drake to boot. And all that Griffin have to do right now is invite Jin Air to come out of their base, use an Ornn ultimate to engage, or they can use the next Infernal Drake to bait them to do it as well.
Well, they can use the Baron Pit to do it. We mentioned the fact that they have the potential of getting 3 smites, and they're not too worried about a potential steal here. Just too many spellbooks that have been unsealed on the side of Griffin. Not exactly the most Baron damage, even though they can tank it so well. And speaking of which, their sword, they just get rid of the Lissandra. Doesn't even have time to self-ult by the looks of things. I have a feeling that CC bar did go down, but just not spamming that button hard enough. The outer turret falls down. Griffin might even take more.
Griffin are looking quite good right now.
They look a cut above Jin Air GreenWings somehow.
Just a hair.
Yeah.
Not too much. I mean, it does look like this is anyone's game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We still don't know how this one is going to go. You can't make assumptions here as Dark Passage gets Rude out of trouble. That was actually very cute by Kellin. The way he waited so long. Turret shot's actually doing some work there, but Griffin are unfazed. They take down this inner turret here in the mid lane as TaNa can't even get anything here just because they can't get on top of Viper. Wall of Pain even misses him as Grace. He's looking to try and get forward. Does so with the claw, but nothing doing. Sword creates too much distance with the dash. An Arcane Shift is, of course, pretty good ability for the Ezreal.
And as everyone resets briefly, a minute until the Infernal, everyone recalling. And the itemization on the side of Jin Air is just not in the position that you want to be in at this stage of the game. Take another quick look at the replay. Ornn's ultimate turns out it's pretty okay.
Yeah.
But Grace didn't bother trying to either self-ult it, flash out of the way. None of the above. Definitely does not want to be found on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
No, I don't think so. That's well and truly a none of the above. But Jin Air at least hold on to their inner turret. in the mid lane. They now just need to do their very best to hold on to a Baron, and 8,000 gold being the lead, Griffin can just stand in the Baron pit with their gigantic amount of wealth and say, come at us. We actually don't care. That's a very frightening thing to deal with. Viper is now building towards his Blade of the Ruin King. He got a QSS with the Null Magic Mantle, respecting Grace there a little bit more than I was expecting him to. I thought he'd just probably try and mitigate Requiem damage. But he just doesn't really care too much about it because Seas isn't as far ahead as this Karthus should be. Looking at the CS, when a Karthus is even with his opponent, even if it is a Rek'Sai, that is a Karthus that isn't doing so well.
Yeah, and in this game, it's going to be the second Infernal Drake almost for sure going over to Griffin, as that dragon is currently being taken down relatively quickly.
Pretty comfortably. Feels like another day in the office here for Griffin. Chovy hanging out as some tunnels are getting cleared. Seas at least gets into the pit and does take a Dark Passage in order to keep himself safe. True Shot Barrage, casually cruising its way across the rift.
And this game is all but over at this point. It's an 8,000 gold lead, double Infernal Drake on the side for Griffin. They could just go and get the Baron and say, hey, can you guys come in here really quick and then cast an Ornn ultimate. And it's all too easy to just run through Jin Air. They have level advantages everywhere.
Yep. And Tarzan, he's got a gold bounty and he's got the Obsidian Cleaver, which I believe is what it's called. Not entirely sure. And that means he's got an extra 1,000 gold on top of that, in theory, just based on the value of his items. This is why I call on the giant walking cull, because you cash him in when he hits some high levels, and you got basically 4,000 extra gold that just goes pop into your back pocket, which ain't too bad. Cull, 300 gold, or 350.
What if Cull is Ornn's dad?
Who is Cull?
Who is Cull? We always hear about Doran and his rings.
Yeah, exactly.
And his
what
shields
about,
and his
what
blades.
about Cull and his weird little knife?
What if Doran and Cull had a child and that's Ornn?
Maybe. Maybe. I need to find who this Cull is now. We need to do some research. I was wondering what this series was going to bring us, and maybe that's what it is. C's losing most of his health bar is, spoiler alert guys, a bad news story. Here for Jin Air, losing that cannon creep is also very bad. But it pales in comparison to what this game is turning into for Griffin. I wasn't expecting Chovy to have such a good time, but what I should have realized was that he's just so good at Akali that it doesn't really matter who he's playing against in mid lane. He will just be that good. That's a decent playback there on the Viper. Very early Requiem as they do get rid of Viper. The inner turret is still doing so much work like you mentioned. And Chovy now taking a lot of damage. The Ornn doesn't seem to be doing enough here as Root very far forward, but Chovy gets himself to safety. And now Jin Air have the opportunity of just chasing this one through. Sword is going to use the stopwatch, and that just means he's going to die. The sacrifice is in for the tank as now Chovy actually lying in wait, looking to try and capitalize on this. But Root is going to move that Bramble back far away. Jin Air just won a fight. 1-3.
They ended up winning the fight, and the real MVP of that fight was definitely the mid-tier 2 turret. As without it, they would not have been able to get away with as much as they did. Take a look at this. Viper and Lehends both don't auto-attack it. That turret is continuing to just fire down on the members of Griffin. Even right here, it hits Chovy.
Yep.
That turret's the MVP. That's Tony.
Tony the turret?
That's Tony the turret.
Yeah, Tony's on his last legs at the moment. If only he was an inhibitor turret. Tony actually gets very envious of inhibitor turrets who get their health back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had a chat to him. Good old Tony. He's a nice guy, but he gets a little bit salty. Yeah.
Makes sense.
When other turrets have things that he wishes he had. He just wants to get that promotion, you know, to inhibitor turret.
Yeah.
Just never comes.
What about Nexus turret? Do you want to be a Nexus turret?
Oh, I don't know.
Nah, I don't know.
I feel like you get to be yourself a little bit more if you're an inhibitor turret. You know, you have your own sort of portion of the map.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Nexus turret, you always have to like share it.
What
and
if
you like
get
all
like,
the Bert and Ernie jokes and things like that. Like.
What if you get to become the fountain laser?
Whoa!
That's the most prestigious.
I think that's the CEO of turrets on Summoner's Rift. It's the fountain laser. That's why Tony hasn't made any complaints. Because he knows where his bread's buttered. And it's buttered on some pretty toasty toast. Let's just say that.
Griffin now really taking their sweet time here. with trying to close out this game. It's very perplexing that they don't just go for a Baron bait.
Yeah, exactly. And this is all about crossing the I's and dotting the T's, as you would say. Because Griffin all but have this one in the bag, but I guess there are some questions that we have to ask about how they're going to close this one out, how quickly they're going to do so, how cleanly, because you don't want to waste too much time here. We actually saw Griffin make that blunder against Kingzone Dragon X. They did have leads in both of their games that they lost. Against Chovy. Oh, that's too many lay wastes. Yeah, and Chovy got just angry at the Karthus.
Yeah. He said, "Can you please stop queuing me, good sir?" Yeah.
And C said, "Oh, okay, I guess I will."
This has to be Baron now being taken.
Should be.
By Griffin. Start the Baron. All right. Baron has been started.
They did it.
They did it. They managed to locate Baron Nashor on the map. It's like a treasure hunt.
Well, Sword actually uses his teleport to get into the mid lane. He had a lot of ward options as far as getting that teleport closer, but wanted to be a little bit further away for some reason. It's Griffin. Baron down to about 4,000 health now as Kellin does land the hook. They're inside this pit. Great knock up there onto Jayce as TaNa has found himself just outside this pit. Kellin will be going down next. Sword gets pulled right into the back as TaNa's still fighting this one out. It is going to be Viper falling. Requiem does do some decent damage, but Seas is nowhere to be seen. He's back in the pit as now Roots just fighting Tarzan. Oh! And he doesn't have too many options. Does get over the wall with the tunnel. But it's success here for Jin Air. They stopped. Oh, no, they didn't. The Baron did go down into all of the chaos. Yeah. And it went to Griffin pretty comfortably.
Jin Air are going to respond by getting that Mountain Dragon, and they're doing it at a time which will prevent the Elder from coming up. But knowing Jin Air's luck, that will cause the third Infernal to spawn for Griffin. Just wait for it.
Yep. 3, 2, 1, and it's a Mountain.
Oh,
that's still relatively bad. There, C's going to get knocked up. Speaking of relatively bad, that's a bad situation.
Yeah, it's a
for the jungler
situation to be in, actually.
Chovy does find his exhaust, and thankfully there's a Dark Passage. That's what's going to keep Root alive this time around. Chovy will have his flashback up very quickly, though.
That's a very intelligent ward for Lissandra to try to teleport to.
Yeah, that's a
That
kitty.
is 300 IQ ward.
Unfortunately, Griffin now know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
So they can respect it. Would have been good if he had have gone unseen when delivering that ward in there. Now it's just a sweeper away from being irrelevant.
See, the ping goes down onto it too. He's like, look, see where I gave you that ward?
Okay, 12,000 gold. Almost caught myself because I thought that is a number that's way too large. But that's going to be the lead here for Griffin. Double Infernal versus double Mountain. Jin Air, if they could make their way to any objective to kill, those Mountain Drakes would be great. But what do we say about Mountains? They're pretty irrelevant if you're really far behind. Jin Air, as usual, very far behind.
Or are they? Maybe this is all just a cool ploy.
A cunning ruse?
Yes.
I don't know. We'll have to see whether the Nexus is going to survive for very much longer.
Two-shot barrage ends up whiffing.
Does hit the minion wave though. I think that's what Viper was aiming for. Turret, the inner on the top side of the map is going to go down. Split pushing Tarzan. On the Rek'Sai, it used to be a thing when Void Rush got you around the map. That Tarzan still going to be splitting here on the Rek'Sai with his Guardian Angel already completed. His Obsidian Cleaver also done.
A 1-1-3 being executed right now by Griffin. Trying to raise any of the inhibitor turrets. Still 50 seconds remaining on the Baron, so they'll get at least one more wave after this one.
There's that ward paying off as Griffin, they know about it. Grace is unable to get there. They don't back away through the lane. They back away through the jungle because it's not Jin Air's jungle anymore. It's theirs. Viper doesn't find that Q, but they do find the kills on these turrets. Almost all of them going down at the same time as the Ornn does get one knock-up, but it's not used for that. It's used just to get Jin Air away from these structures, away from these objectives, and give Griffin a way in to just demolish this base. Ooh. That's a great triple knock-up there, though, as Seas goes down very low, tries to get himself into Devile position, and does so relatively well. But look at this Requiem. It's just not doing enough damage, and Griffin... The Karthus dies in the right spot, but he just doesn't do any damage.
Yeah, he does absolutely no damage to this Griffin team composition here. as Ezreal recalls, teleports back in. They're going to go for the end of the game here.
Yeah, minion waves getting followed through. Super minions are now cruising down the mid lane and the top lane as Root's going to get taken down very, very low. Hexdrinker in hand does keep him alive. As Tarzan gets booted back, he does, of course, have himself to GA. He will revive as the culling lands onto Chovy. Lehends, good guy, is going to pick that one up with the Circle of Frost. Frost catches the Akali. Doesn't quite have the Twilight Shroud, but doesn't actually need it. Just walks away as Griffin just kiting this Jin Air roster around. Even though Root's doing so much damage, it's just not quite enough. True Shot Barrage flies on forward. Once again, misses absolutely everyone. But Griffin, they've done enough. They've just got so much gold, so much control, and Jin Air have basically nothing. Yeah, that teleport should seal the deal. Nexus Turret 1 goes down. Number 2 going to follow. Sees once again. Dies in a decent spot, but does absolutely no damage. As Viper hanging around this team fight is now just looking for the Nexus. As Lehends very low. Tarzan also very low. Shock Blast does basically no damage. As Lehends has the Unbreakable Will. Nexus next to fall down, and Griffin, they don't fall to Jin Air. We don't have the equilibrium restored just yet.
Atlas, there's game 2
Game 1 is over, exactly.
Yeah, calm down there.
I don't know how to process what this game means just yet, so don't worry, I'm not going to go overboard. But Griffin really styled on Jin Air in that game.
Yeah, that was definitely up there with one of the least satisfying Karthus performances I've seen in the LCK, next to the other one that they had. So definitely a letdown there. Yeah, I feel like the event horizon is still a little further away. Yeah.
In this particular series, we were wondering what it all means, but maybe it just means that the Jin Air plane is going to crash and burn. And unfortunately, Matthew McConaughey is just going to head straight in to that weird room with all of the books.
There is LCS on rerun.
Over and over again.
You have to watch Self-Made's Rek'Sai go to
You go into that room and it's just the store of League of Legends and it's only Infinity Edges.
Like pushing the book off the shelf. This is the best second item.
Oh no.
Oh man.
It's just ringing in our ears the entire time. Poor Matthew. But look, James Cameron didn't quite get what he wanted here from this particular game just yet. However, there are still 2 more to go. And Jin Air did try some things. I mean, they had a decent start. 3 buff at the beginning of the game, set up the Karthus to do exactly what he needed to do, but unfortunately, he decided not to do that.
Right.
Which was the problem.
He elected going for arbitrary ganks that weren't going to really be successful, trying to capture dragons rather than farming his rubber banded camps. Didn't care about his 2-level advantage inside of the jungle.
Nope.
And Jin Air also weren't really doing their best to set up Requiems for him either. So if you're going to play Karthus, definitely don't play it like that.
Nope.
As it definitely will keep Karthus off the patch notes.
And you know what's the really worrying thing is Sword's probably going to pick up an MVP for this particular game. And what were we talking about at the beginning of this series? The fact that Sword is in theory the weak link of this squad. If he picks up an MVP heading into the final, could be more dangerous if he does have his hand on the tanks that he can potentially play. We'll see how Jin Air is going to deal with it as we move into game number 2. It'll be right after this very short break.